Because ignorance is not always bliss. Do you understand that? क्या समझ में आया इससे? Ignorance is bliss. इसका मतलब क्या है? What do you understand by that? कि किसी को पता ही नहीं है कि UPSC में attempts खत्म हो जाए तो क्या होता है? Ignorant. Do you understand that? So ignorance is blessing, a kind of bliss. Not always, because once the attempts are over, then the eyes will open and you will understand that what you have lost. Theory of separation of powers. It is a very important concept. It is highlighted also in your syllabus. If you have seen your GS2 syllabus, you will find this topic very categorically written in there, which says theory of separation of powers. In fact, this topic also comes with an adjunct which is not written in the syllabus, and that is the doctrine of checks and balances, right? So we'll first try to understand what is theory of separation of powers. So give a heading, theory of separation of powers. Theory of separation of powers. And once you have done that, then you put your pen down and look here with all the attention that you have. See, in olden days, remember, every power was concentrated in the king. What are the three major powers of the government? Legislative powers, executive powers, and judicial power. Think of olden days. And can I say that all the judicial powers were invested in the king? The king was the highest court of appeal. Because if the king passes a sentence, can anybody change that sentence? No. Because the king was the highest court of appeal, like the Supreme Court of today. Do you understand that? The king's word was law. Whatever king said became law. Do you understand that? And you can understand that kings made laws most of the times to protect their own interests rather than the interests of the people. Because good kings are huge in number or few in number? Few in number. So most of the times humanity has faced what kind of rulers? Oppressive rulers. Do you understand that? Who curb the liberties of the people and try to abuse their authority. And you know that king was also the head of the executive. Like the president of today, the king was the head of the executive. The king was the final recruiting authority. The king would declare war and will conclude peace. The king will dismiss anyone, whoever he deems fit. It means all the powers of governance were at the hands of whom? At the hands of a monarch. And you can understand that life would be very good and easy if the monarch is a good person, isn't it? If he is a benevolent person, if it is a good man, then life will be a roller coaster ride. But if he is a cruel person, if he is a bigot, if he is a person who wants to trample upon the civil liberties of the people, then you can understand, then the state of affairs would be very sorry in that kingdom, isn't it? So it means your life condition would be dependent on whom? Would be dependent upon the nature of the king, as simple as that. And can you give a guarantee that all the kings that would follow will be of good nature? Can you give that the guarantee? No. That's why modern civilizations, as they evolved, they understood that the real problem is concentration of power. If all the power is concentrated, and when I say all the power, I mean what? Executive, legislative, and judicial powers. If all of that is concentrated in one entity, that entity could be an individual, it could also be an institution. Then if that individual or institution is good, then everything is good. If that individual or that institution goes rogue or becomes corrupt, then everything becomes wrong in the society. That's why you see that there was this 18th century French political and social thinker. His name was Montesquieu. He's a French political and social thinker and philosopher. So Montesquieu has come up with this idea of separation of powers. What does this mean? Now listen to it very carefully. Theory of separation of powers is an idea which is given by the French philosopher Montesquieu. And it says that the powers of government should be separated in three organs. The organs being legislature, executive, and judiciary. All such powers of government shall not be concentrated in one hand, because if suppose that person or that institution goes rogue, then everything else in the society goes rogue or everything becomes bad. Do you understand that? Now, look here. Remember that the term government actually signifies what? Legislature, executive and judiciary. But in common parlance, in day-to-day language, whenever we say government, we are referring to which entity of the government? Executive. Do you understand that? So what is Montesquieu's tripartite government model, or it is also known as trias politica? You see, Montesquieu actually wrote a book. The book's name is Spirit of the Laws. And this is that book. In this book, he defines the concept called trias politica, or it is also known as tripartite government. It means government will have how many wings? 3 wings. Do you understand that? This is also known as separation of powers. Do you understand that? Now, Montesquieu says that all powers of government should not be concentrated in one institution. Rather, there should be 3 institutions, and they are what? The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And powers of government, what kind of powers? Legislative powers, executive powers, and judicial powers. They should not be concentrated in one hand or one institution. Rather, they should be separated, and 3 wings of the government should be created. And every wing should be given the charge of one power. Do you understand that? It means, what is the task of the legislature? To make laws. What is the task of the executive? To execute the laws. And what is the task of the judiciary? To test the laws and to give justice in the light of constitution and laws. Do you understand that? Montesquieu says that if we follow this model, then we avoid what? Concentration of power in one hand. Do you understand that? And if we allow all the power to be concentrated in one hand, then what will happen? Then there is a possibility that the person who is having all such powers, he may misuse that power or he may abuse his authority. Do you understand that? And if we do that, then obviously you can understand that we will not be able to protect the civil liberties of the people. So you know that the powers of the government should be unlimited or limited? Limited. That is what constitutionalism says. Do you understand that? There is a very famous British historian. His name is Lord Acton. Now he has said something. Now listen to this statement very carefully. He says, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Do you understand that? If you are given power, there is a tendency in human beings to misuse power. Do you understand that? In fact, even Abraham Lincoln, the President of the United States of America, he said that if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Do you understand that? Just give him power and see how he behaves with that power, and you'll understand what kind of a man is that person. Do you understand that? So, Montesquieu, who is he? He is an 18th century French political and social philosopher. Now, he has written a book. What is the name of the book? Spirit of the Laws. But he is a French person, so he must be writing in French. So, in fact, the actual name of the book is Esprit de Loi. Its English translation is Spirit of the Laws, in which he highlighted the concept of trias politica, which also roughly translates to English as tripartite government. It means that the powers of government will be divided into 3 wings: legislature, executive and judiciary. Can the judiciary make laws? It means there are limitations on it. But if all the power is concentrated in one entity, you can understand the king could do everything. Do you understand that? So the judiciary cannot make laws, the legislature cannot give justice. Do you understand that? So there are limitations on every organ. Do you get that? So that is the model of theory of separation of powers. Now what Montesquieu says, listen very carefully. Montesquieu says that if we want to protect constitutionalism, remember limited government, then we should have what? Theory of separation of powers in place. Because if all the power is concentrated in one hand, then we all can refer to Lord Acton's statement, the British historian. He said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolute. Do you understand that? Because you see, human nature, human tendency is after all very weak. And like, can you say that all the time you have done good and no wrong in your life till date? Is there anyone who can say so with confidence that you have never done injustice to anyone? You might have done some injustice to someone. Do you understand that? Big or small, large or limited. The point is that if you get absolute power, there is a great chance that the injustice that you will do is absolute. Do you get that? That is the model of separation of powers, or that is the theory of separation of powers. Who is the scholar? Montesquieu. And what is his work? Esprit de loi, or spirit of the laws. Now see, when the French Revolution was taking place, just on the eve of the French Revolution, there was large-scale dissatisfaction among the people of France because they felt that there is an oppressive monarchy which is sitting at the top and it is trampling or it is booting down the rights of the people. Do you understand that? In fact, there was a French king, Louis XIV. He said, I am the state. It means, मैं ही जो हूँ, वही देश है. Do you get that? And you see, same kinds of slogans we heard during emergencies where some leader said, Indira is India. Do you understand that? And that's why that's a dark chapter of Indian political history. Do you get that? So look here very carefully. Then there broke out the French Revolution. And what were the three major ideas of French Revolution? Liberty, equality and fraternity. Liberty means what? Civil liberties. And in order to protect civil liberties, what do you want? Constitutionalism. And for constitutionalism, what do you want? Power should not be concentrated in one hand. And for that, what do you want? You want to divide the powers of government into three wings: executive, legislature and judiciary, each given a respective head of the government's duties. Do you understand that? So, what is the book? Esprit de loi. And who is the scholar? Montesquieu. Do you understand that? In fact, Montesquieu is his just surname, you can say, or just one part of his name. His actual name is, you must learn this as well. We were not asking for address. Now look here. What is this? Charles Louis II, Baron de la Brette et de Montesquieu. लेकिन आज से सिर्फ प्यार से बोलेंगे हम इसको Montesquieu. Do you understand that? Because ignorance is not always bliss. Do you understand that? क्या समझ में आया इससे? Ignorance is bliss. इसका मतलब क्या है? What do you understand by that? कि किसी को पता ही नहीं है कि UPSC में attempts खत्म हो जाए तो क्या होता है? Ignorant. Do you understand that? So ignorance is blessing, a kind of bliss. Not always, because once the attempts are over, then the eyes will open and you will understand that what you have lost. See, you haven't worked hard yet and that's why you are failing. That's an altogether different thing. But you decided not to work hard when you got the opportunity. That will bring a lot of pain to your heart, right? Because that is how human nature is. So what is his name? Charles Louis de Secondat, Baron de la Brette, Montesquieu. No need of remembering anything about that. Just remember what? Montesquieu. But keep this in mind. There will be one among you who will actually write the full name. And you can understand that one who will be evaluating the paper, he will immediately get impressed by that very little thing. This will be one of the special features of his answer. And he will not write spirit of the laws, rather he would write esprit de loi. Do you understand that? तो इसे लगेगा evaluator को कि इसने सही से तैयारी की है.